Hi, my name is Leah and I'm from Iowa. Have you ever wondered why such different children are born into one family? For example, my older brother Michael seems like he's from another planet. He's a cruel and angry boy. Sometimes I think that there was a mishap at the hospital. My parents took someone else's baby. But to be honest, I'm even more inclined to believe that Mom cheated on Dad with some bloodthirsty monster, and Michael takes after his biological father. Maybe when my brother drives me crazy one more time, I'll finally bring myself to do a DNA test and bring him out into the open. You might say that I'm going too far and complicating everything. I'm sure that when you hear my story, you'll understand and support me. But before I start, please like this video and be sure to subscribe to this channel. They only have real and living stories here. So, are you ready? My brother's oddities began to show even before he was born. During pregnancy, our mother, by nature a vegetarian, began to demand human blood. At first, Dad thought this was some kind of whim and didn't attach any importance to such a strange desire. You must agree that pregnant women sometimes behave not quite adequately. But later, when my mom's health got really bad, really fast, nothing was helping, and there was a chance of a miscarriage, my dad resorted to the last remedy. He bought several liters of type O donor blood. Mom immediately drank everything to the last drop and her health returned to normal. Later, when Michael was born, Mom was adding donor blood to breast milk and formula and fed bottles of this monstrous cocktail to my brother. And if she didn't add the bloodthirsty baby refused to drink it, spit everything out, and yelled in such a monstrous voice that the neighbors called the police. When I was born, my brother tried his best to get rid of me. He dropped me out of the stroller several times and almost drowned me in a bathtub once. For this, Dad locked him in his room without any communication or the internet for a week. After that, Michael stopped trying to physically harm me, but held a grudge now. My brother began to plot sly intrigues. One time he threw several huge Madagascar cockroaches right into my bed, and I'm mortally scared of all crawling creatures. When I felt insects crawling under my pajamas, I screamed so loud that the windows in my room cracked. After this incident, I started stuttering, and the sight of even the most harmless insect would give me a nervous tic. My parents had to spend a fortune on psychologists, neurologists, and speech therapists to rid me of these defects. Once I opened my backpack, and in the container where my mom had put my lunch, I found a huge dead rat with red eyes, which had already begun to decay and stink. Naturally, it was a gift from my brother. Plus, Michael tortured stray cats, took money from first graders, and beat those who were younger and weaker than him. Do you understand what kind of person he is now? A tendency to violence was traced in his behavior even when he was a child. But the people around, including our parents, didn't notice this for some reason. Everyone magically fell under my brother's natural charm, and he made the most favorable impression on people when he wanted. You can believe me. At school, Michael was the most popular guy. It was considered prestigious to be friends with him, and the girls drooled over him and followed him everywhere he went. Unlike my brother, I grew up as a kind, sympathetic, and gentle child. I believed in fairy tales with happy endings, read books about true love, and cried when I watched sentimental movies. I was also taking in the stray cats crippled by my brother and nursing them in our backyard. And I helped old Mrs. Thompson, who lived next door, go shopping. Michael secretly trampled all the flowers in the front garden of this kind woman, and he even poisoned her dog. When my brother and I moved to high school, he had long ago stopped drinking human blood, torturing animals, and playing dirty little tricks. I felt that Michael was playing more seriously, and I constantly felt the danger emanating from my brother. He was no longer interested in tormenting animals. Now he liked to torture living people, not physically, but psychologically. Moreover, he always acted subtly and cunningly. Michael was deceiving and leaving girls and setting his friends up without feeling guilty. And one of his friends even had to go to jail because of my brother. I won't go into details of this sad story, not to shock you even more. At the same time, Michael still masterfully managed to hide his true face from most people and keep the mask of a good guy who was finishing his senior year and preparing to enter the best university in the country. Over time, I began to notice that my brother was trying to get on my good side, giving me gifts for my birthday and helping with cleaning the house. But I farsightedly stayed away from him and tried to live my own life, which I built according to other rules. Empathy for people, dreams of true love, and strong friendship reigned in my world. When I was 16, a new girl, Marta, joined our class. She moved from Michigan, and I volunteered to show her around the school. We liked each other at first sight and became inseparable. It was like I recognized my soulmate in Martha, and sometimes we didn't need to say things out loud. We read each other's minds and dreamed about the same things. My new friend started coming to our house often. We watched movies together, did homework, and just shared secrets. It was the best time. I started to get worried when I saw that Michael was throwing self-explanatory glances at Martha. But I rang the alarm even more when I witnessed a rather sensitive scene. I entered the room with my brother, and he was stroking my friend's shoulder and whispering something in her ear, and she blushed and giggled shyly. Knowing how Michael treated girls, I decided to have a serious talk with Martha and warn her about the danger. "Martha, you don't know my brother at all. He usually uses girls and wipes his shoes on them. Believe me, he's not the person you need." Martha didn't answer me that evening. She just frowned. But now, for the first time in our friendship, I felt some kind of misunderstanding between us, and it felt really cold. The next day at school, my excited friend shared her joy with me. Michael took her phone number and already had managed to call her. She beamed with happiness as if she forgot our conversation. Seeing Martha's eyes light up, I sighed heavily and sadly and thought that my warning didn't work on my friend. "Leah, Michael and his friend invited you and me on a date. Imagine a double date! And maybe you'll meet your love too. Yesterday, I decided that you're just jealous of me, and that's why you're talking down on Michael. You haven't dated anyone either, but now we'll arrange our personal life together and everyone will be happy," Martha chirped enthusiastically. I realized that trying to convince my friend was stupid. It could all end with us having a fight. I didn't even want to think about what friend my brother talked about, probably a good-looking bastard like him. Guys, to put it mildly, I was not happy with all this trouble stirring up, but I decided to go on the date anyway, not to leave my friend alone with these monsters. On the appointed day, Martha tried on all my clothes and dressed up as if it was a holiday. To be honest, she looked really stunning. I put on a simple dress and went on the date without makeup. But to my disappointment, I still looked very cute, and to be honest, I even overshadowed my dressed-up friend with my natural beauty. Michael and his friend invited us to the most popular and expensive restaurant in town. Wow, how generous. My brother must have gotten more than $100 from my dad, and to be honest, I was impressed, although I tried to suppress my enthusiastic emotions and pinched my arm to bring myself to my senses. Martha, on the contrary, squealed with delight like a puppy and loyally looked into Michael's eyes. I was surprised that my brother's friend was not at all like Michael, a very discreet and polite guy named Brad. Stylishly framed glasses and a smart look showed that he was an intellectual. He elegantly offered me his hand and sat down in a chair so craftily that I was taken aback for a few seconds, but I decided to stay on alert. After all, looks and good manners are deceptive. The evening passed in a pleasant atmosphere. Live music and beautiful surroundings were relaxing. At some point, I even forgot about caution and fell under the influence of Brad's magnetic gaze, and he didn't take his eyes off me. I caught myself thinking that they began to seem very beautiful to me. And when my brother's friend accidentally touched me, goosebumps ran through my body. But I kept saying to myself, "Leah, stop! These guys can't be trusted!" Meanwhile, Martha drank several cocktails of questionable content and was simply hanging on Michael, who was squinting with delight and looking at her like a predatory cat. I could clearly see his thought on his face. That's it, the bird is in the cage. I was embarrassed for my friend. I knew that she was actually not like that. I was even more worried about her because I was assuming how it all would eventually end. When we arrived home, Brad said goodbye to me very sweetly and expressed his hope of meeting us again. I didn't say anything because I was completely consumed by Martha. I was helping her stand on her feet. Michael stayed outside with his friend. Apparently, they wanted to talk about us, and Martha and I went inside the house. Thank heavens we managed to sneak past my parents unnoticed. They would definitely snitch on my friend to her parents if they saw her in that state. Or even worse, they would forbid me to communicate with her. At some point, I couldn't hold Martha, and she fell down near my room with a treacherously loud noise. But we were lucky this time as well. My parents didn't pay attention to that noise. When Martha fell asleep in my bed, I came to my senses and calmed down a bit. But at night I heard some rustling and panicked. My friend was not there. She returned to my room in the morning with wild hair and a huge hickey on her neck, and without any words I knew where she was. Of course, in my older brother's room. I think you already guessed how the story ended. Martha decided that after dating and kissing, she automatically became Michael's girlfriend. But of course, he didn't think so. Changing girls like socks was normal for him. My friend went hysterical when he stopped answering her calls and messages and avoided her at school, as if he was seeing for the first time. He also spread such dirty rumors about her that my heart nearly broke. But get this, Brad got into a fight with Michael because of the whole story. He called him a word that is too dirty to say out loud, and hit him so hard that my brother walked around with a huge black eye for a whole month. After that, I looked at Brad differently and began to respect him. And once he stopped me at school and sincerely said, "Leah, you probably think I'm as mean as Michael. I'm sure with a scum brother like that, you don't trust boys at all. But I'm not like him, and I'm ready to prove it to you with my actions. Give me a chance, please. I'm willing to wait as long as I have to, and I know that the day will come when you'll open up your heart to me." I was amazed by Brad's frankness, I confess. He won me over with his honesty. After this conversation, we began to spend a lot of time together. He was very attentive, gently took care of me, arranged wild surprises, and unforgettable dates. And gradually, I realized that I was not only charmed by his looks and manners, but I also had a deep and strong feeling for him. "I love you," Brad once said to me when we were watching the dawn on the roof of a high-rise building. And I realized that I was ready to return his feelings and trust this guy with my heart and soul. At that moment, our lips met for the first time. Guys, it was magical, and a sweet kiss against the background of a fabulously beautiful sky, flooded with a bright glow of a rising sun, beyond words. And from that day on, the happy story of our love began. Brad and I became a couple, and right after college, we got married. Martha and I stopped talking. After the incident with Michael, my ex-friend blamed me for everything at first. Then we completely drifted apart and stopped communicating. I was told that she started dating all sorts of guys, got involved with bad company, and failed her final exams. I know that she will go through all her trials of life, and one day she'll call me herself. Martha, if you can hear me now, I'm still waiting for your call.